Fiancée wanted to explore other men, then came back pregnant. But I had already moved on. I am writing this at 3 a.m. because I cannot sleep. And honestly, I need to get this out of my head before it drives me completely insane. 8 months ago, the woman I thought I was going to marry told me she needed to experience life before we got married. Tonight, she showed up at my door pregnant and desperate, expecting me to welcome her back like nothing happened. The problem is, I am not the same guy she left behind. Let me back up. I am Dex, 30. Been working as a diesel mechanic at a trucking company for 6 years. Good job. Steady money. $72K a year, which is not bad around here. I was engaged to Naya for 3 years, together for 5 total. We had everything planned out, wedding next spring, house down payment saved up, the whole domestic dream. Then one night last March, Naya sits me down and drops this bomb. I need to experience other people before we get married. I am sitting there like someone just spoke to me in a foreign language. What do you mean, experience other people? I have only had serious relationships, she said. I have never just dated around, never explored what else is out there. I need to know what I am choosing when I choose you. The way she said it made it sound so reasonable. Like this was just good sense. Like I should be grateful she was being so thoughtful about our future. She wanted 6 months. 6 months to get it out of her system and then come back ready to fully commit. I love you, she said, but I need to know I am settling down with you because you are what I want, not just because you are what I am used to. I should have told her to go fuck herself right then and there. Instead, I said okay. Actually said okay to my fiancé, asking for permission to sleep with other men while I waited around like some kind of loyal dog. She moved out the next week, took her stuff, kissed me goodbye like she was going on a business trip, and said she would see me in 6 months. For the first month, I was a wreck. Could not eat, could not focus at work. Kept thinking this was all some nightmare I had wake up from. My buddy Riker at the shop kept telling me I was being an idiot, that no woman who really loved me would need to explore other options first. Dex, man, you do not put love on hold to go shopping for something better, he said. That is not how it works. But I was so convinced that if I just waited, if I just proved how much I loved her, she would come back and realize I was enough. Somewhere around month 3, something shifted. Maybe it was getting tired of feeling sorry for myself, or maybe it was finally listening to Riker's advice. But I started actually living again. Used the money we had saved for the wedding to pay off my truck. Started hitting the gym regularly, instead of drinking beer and watching Netflix every night. Even started talking to this nurse, Sloane, who came into the shop sometimes, when her car was acting up. Sloane was not like Naya. She did not make me feel like I had to earn her attention, or prove I was interesting enough. When she laughed at my jokes, it felt real. When she asked about my day, she actually listened to the answer. By month 6, Naya's original timeline, I was not waiting anymore. I was dating Sloane, and for the first time in years, I felt like someone actually chose me instead of just tolerating me until something better came along. Which brings me to tonight. Naya showed up at my door looking like she had been crying for hours, obviously pregnant, begging me to take her back. I got it out of my system, she said. I know now that you are the one. I made a mistake. Dex. I am sorry. Can we please just go back to how things were? I am standing there looking at this woman I had planned to spend my life with, and I felt nothing. No anger, no heartbreak, no relief, just nothing. How far along are you? I asked. About 4 months, but Dex, it was an accident. I was being stupid and careless. And now I need you. We can raise this baby together. You always wanted kids. Whose baby is it? It does not matter. What matters is that I love you, and I want to come home. That is when it hit me. She did not come back because she realized I was amazing. She came back because she got herself into trouble and needed someone to fix it for her. I was her backup plan. Naya, I said. I am seeing someone else now. The look on her face was like I had slapped her. What do you mean you are seeing someone else? You were supposed to wait for me. You left me to sleep with other people. I moved on, but I came back. I chose you. You chose me because you ran out of better options. She started crying harder, begging me to reconsider, saying we could work through this together, that the baby needed a father. But I just felt tired. Tired of being someone's second choice. Tired of being the safe option when everything else falls apart. I told her she needed to leave, that I hoped she figured things out, but it would not be with me. Now I am sitting here wondering if I made the right choice. Part of me feels guilty. She is pregnant and scared, and we did have 5 years together. But a bigger part of me knows that taking her back would be going backwards to a relationship where I was never really chosen first. Sloane and I have been talking about moving in together, maybe buying a house. She makes me feel like I am somebody worth choosing, not just somebody worth settling for when nothing better works out. I keep thinking about what Riker said months ago. The right person does not need to shop around to know they want you. Maybe I am cold-hearted. Maybe I should be more forgiving. But I spent too many months learning to value myself to go back to being someone's backup plan now. Edit, for everyone asking. Yes, I am absolutely sure the baby is not mine. We broke up in March. She is 4 months pregnant now, and we had not slept together for weeks before she left, because she said she needed emotional space to prepare for her exploration. Edit 2. I know some people think I should help her because it is the right thing to do. But helping someone and being their fallback option are different things. I hope she finds what she needs, but it is not going to be with me. Update 1. Well, Naya did not take rejection well. What happened over the past 2 weeks has shown me just how much I dodged a bullet by not taking her back. First, she started showing up at my work. Not just once or twice, every other day, parking across the street from the shop and waiting for me to come outside. When I would see her and walk the other direction, she'd follow me crying and begging me to just talk to her for 5 minutes. Riker finally had to tell her that if she did not stop harassing me at work, we had call the cops. That is when she shifted tactics and started going after Sloane. She found out where Sloane worked and showed up at the hospital, telling anyone who would listen that Sloane was the other woman who broke up our engagement. Made such a scene in the ER waiting room that security had to remove her. When Sloane told me about it, I felt sick. This woman I had planned to marry was actively trying to sabotage the best relationship I had ever had. And for what? Because I would not drop everything to rescue her from the consequences of her own choices? But here is where it gets really twisted. Last week, Naya called me crying, saying she had something important to tell me about the baby. I think it might be yours, she said through tears. I know the timing seems off, but I have been thinking about that last weekend we spent together before I left. Remember? We went to your cousin's wedding? Stayed at that hotel? I did remember. It was actually a good weekend. One of the last times we felt connected before everything fell apart. For about 10 seconds, I felt that old familiar guilt creeping in. Maybe I owed it to her. To both of them, to at least find out. If there is a chance it is mine, we should do a DNA test, I said. Do we really need to put ourselves through that? I mean, does it matter biologically whose it is if we are going to raise it together? That is when I knew she was lying. If there was any real chance the baby was mine, she would want the DNA test to prove it. She was throwing out the possibility to manipulate me into taking responsibility without having to prove anything. I insisted on the test. She agreed, but only after making it clear how hurtful it was that I did not trust her. The results came back yesterday, not mine. Not even close. When I called to tell her, she immediately started backtracking. Well, I was not completely sure about the timing anyway, but, Dex, does it really matter? You always wanted to be a father. It matters because you lied to manipulate me into taking responsibility for another man's child. I was not lying. I was confused about dates, but something in her voice told me there was more to this story. So I did what I probably should have done 8 months ago. I started asking around. Turns out, Naya's exploration period was not just casual dating. She had been systematically targeting wealthy guys at upscale bars and events around the city. One of Riker's buddies worked security at this fancy hotel downtown, said he saw her there multiple times with different older men, always dressed to the nines. She was not exploring, he told me. She was hunting. The baby's father is apparently Thorne Reed, the owner of the upscale lounge where Naya worked. Married guy, family money, definitely not leaving his wife for the bartender he got pregnant. So her whole "I need to experience life" speech was bullshit. She was gold-digging, plain and simple, looking for someone with more money than a diesel mechanic could provide. When that plan backfired spectacularly, she came crawling back to good old reliable Dex, expecting me to clean up her mess. The worst part is not even the lying. It is that she clearly thought I was stupid enough to fall for it. That after 8 months of building a life without her, I had just dropped everything and played daddy to some rich guy's bastard child because she batted her eyes and said she was sorry. I told Sloane everything, expecting her to be angry about the drama Naya had brought into our lives. Instead, she just hugged me and said, "I am proud of you for not falling for it." That is when I knew I was with the right person. Someone who sees my worth instead of my utility. Someone who supports my decisions instead of trying to manipulate them. Naya texted me yesterday, "You used to be kinder. I do not know what happened to the man who loved me. What happened to him is that he learned to love himself enough to not accept being treated like shit. What happened to him is that he met someone who chose him first, instead of choosing him when everything else fell apart. I am done feeling guilty for moving on. I am done apologizing for building a life that does not include someone who abandoned it the first chance she got." Edit. People keep asking how I feel about Naya being pregnant and struggling. Honestly, I feel sorry for the situation she is in, but I do not feel responsible for fixing it. She made calculated choices that led to this outcome. I am not cruel enough to wish her harm, but I am not stupid enough to sacrifice my happiness for her consequences. Edit 2. Sloane and I put an offer on a house this week. 3 bedrooms. Good neighborhood. Big enough to grow into. Sometimes the best revenge is just living well. Update 2. I thought I knew the full extent of Naya's deception. But what I discovered this week makes her exploration period look like amateur hour compared to the real con she was running. The house offer Sloane and I made got accepted, so I went to the bank to transfer money from the wedding fund Naya and I had built together. That is when I found out she had been stealing from it for months before she even left. Our joint savings account that should have had $23,000 in it had $15,000. $8,000 missing. When I asked the bank for transaction records, I found withdrawals going back 6 months before Naya's supposed revelation about needing to explore other men. The transactions painted a clear picture: expensive clothes, high-end restaurants, spa treatments, even a weekend trip to some resort, all while she was telling me we needed to be careful with money because weddings are expensive. I called Naya immediately. "Where is the $8,000 you stole from our wedding fund?" "I did not steal anything," she said. "That was our money. I used some of it for personal expenses." Personal expenses like buying designer dresses to wear while gold digging at upscale bars? Long pause. "I needed to look presentable for work events." Bullshit. "You needed to look expensive enough to attract rich men. You were funding your husband hunting expedition with money we saved together for our future." That is when she broke down and admitted part of the truth. She had been planning to leave me for months, but wanted to keep the financial safety net until she found someone better. The whole "I need to explore" conversation was just a way to break up with me while keeping access to our shared resources. But that was not even the worst part. Remember how I mentioned Naya's sister Celia? She reached out to me yesterday with information that made my blood run cold. "I cannot keep quiet about this anymore," Celia said. "Naya's been talking shit about you for over a year, calling your job embarrassing, saying she was settling for a blue-collar life because she did not think she could do better." According to Celia, Naya had been actively looking for an exit strategy from our relationship long before she asked for her exploration period. She had joined some kind of social climbing group, started hanging around country clubs and expensive events, trying to meet men with serious money. "She used to laugh about how trusting you were," Celia told me. "She said you were so focused on being the perfect boyfriend that you would never notice what she was really doing. That hit different. All those late nights she said she was working extra shifts at the bar, she was actually networking at private parties and exclusive events, using our wedding fund to finance her transformation from small-town bartender to whatever she thought these rich guys wanted." The exploration period was not about self-discovery. It was about having 6 months of official freedom to land a wealthy husband without technically cheating on me. When that plan failed, and she got pregnant by a married man who wanted nothing to do with her, she came back to her safety net. Good old reliable Dex, who had been working overtime to save for their future, while she was spending that money to escape it. But here is what really twisted the knife. Celia showed me screenshots of text messages between her and Naya from throughout our relationship. Messages where Naya called me her backup plan and laughed about how I was too dumb to realize she could do better. One message from last year: "Dex is sweet, but God, he is boring. Do you think I am settling? I love him, but I am not in love with him, you know? He is like, safe, reliable. The kind of guy you marry when you give up on finding someone exciting. Another one from right before she left. Finally getting out of this dead-end relationship. Wish me luck, finding someone who can actually afford the lifestyle I want. Reading those messages felt like getting punched in the stomach repeatedly. 5 years of my life with someone who saw me as a consolation prize. 5 years of planning a future with someone who was actively planning to escape it. When I confronted Naya about the messages, she tried to minimize it. I was just venting to my sister. Everyone complains about their relationship sometimes. It did not mean anything. You called me your backup plan. I was confused about what I wanted. That is why I needed time to figure things out. You figured out that rich men do not want to marry pregnant bartenders, so you came back to the guy who was stupid enough to take care of someone else's problem. She started crying, saying I was being cruel, that she really did love me and just made some mistakes. But I was done. You do not accidentally steal money from someone you love. You do not accidentally spend years talking shit about them to your family. You do not accidentally use someone as an emotional and financial security blanket while actively trying to replace them. I filed a police report about the stolen money and sent her a bill for the full amount plus interest. My lawyer says, I can probably recover it through small claims court, but honestly, it is worth $8,000 to never have to deal with her again. Sloane's been incredible through all this. She could have easily gotten frustrated with all the drama Naya keeps trying to create, but instead, she just keeps reminding me that none of this is about me. You cannot control crazy people, she said. You can only control how much access you give them to your life. We close on the house next month. 3 bedrooms, big yard, quiet neighborhood. The kind of place where you build a real life with someone who actually wants to build it with you. Not someone who is just killing time until something better comes along. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had taken Naya back. If I had let guilt and history override common sense. I would probably be working overtime to support another man's child, while wondering why my wife never seemed happy with anything I provided. Instead, I am building something real with someone who chose me first, not because she ran out of other options. Edit, Naya got fired from her job at the upscale bar. Apparently her affair with the married owner became public knowledge, and his wife had enough influence to get her blacklisted from most of the high-end places in town. Sometimes consequences catch up with you whether someone else seeks revenge or not. Edit 2. For people asking if I feel vindicated, not really. I feel relieved. Relieved that I saw clearly. Relieved that I did not let someone use me as a safety net, and relieved that I found someone who values what I have to offer instead of seeing it as something to escape from. Final update: Sloane and I got married last weekend. Nothing fancy, just close family and friends. But it was perfect because it was real. No drama, no second guessing, no backup plans. Just 2 people who chose each other and wanted to make it official. But that is not why I am writing this final update. I am writing it because of what happened at our wedding reception and what it taught me about the difference between someone who loves you and someone who just needs you. Naya showed up. I do not know how she found out about the wedding, but she somehow got past security at the venue and cornered me during the cocktail hour. She was visibly pregnant now, probably about 8 months along, and looked like she had been crying. Please, she said, grabbing my arm. Just give me 5 minutes. I need to tell you something important. Sloane saw what was happening and started walking over, but I shook my head. I wanted to hear whatever final manipulation Naya had prepared, partly out of curiosity, and partly because I knew this would be the last conversation we had ever have. I made the biggest mistake of my life, she said. I threw away the best thing I ever had because I was stupid and greedy, and I did not appreciate what I had until it was gone. Naya, it is my wedding day. What do you want? I want you to know that I was lying when I said I was not in love with you. I was lying to myself, lying to everyone. I was in love with you, I just thought I could do better. I thought love was supposed to be more exciting. That is when I realized something that probably sounds cruel, but felt like the most honest thing I had ever understood. I did not care, not in a bitter way or an angry way. I just genuinely did not care about her regrets or her realizations or her feelings about our relationship. It was like listening to someone tell me about a movie I had seen years ago and barely remembered. I am sorry you are struggling, I said. But this is not the time or place for this conversation. I know you are married now, but marriages end. People get divorced. If you ever realize you made a mistake, I did not make a mistake, I said. I married someone who wanted to marry me from the beginning, not someone who had to shop around first to make sure I was the best available option. That is when Sloane appeared beside me. She did not say anything dramatic or territorial. She just put her hand on my back and smiled at Naya with the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you are genuinely wanted. Congratulations on your pregnancy, Sloane said. I hope everything works out for you. It was not mean or sarcastic. It was just final, like closing a door gently but firmly. After security escorted Naya out, Sloane and I went back to celebrating with people who actually wanted to be there, and that is when it hit me. For the past 8 months, I had been so focused on not being someone's backup plan that I had missed the bigger picture. I had found someone who made me her first choice from day one. Sloane never needed to explore other options to know she wanted to be with me. She never had to test the market to make sure I was good enough. She never made me feel like I was competing with some fantasy of what else might be out there. She just saw who I was and decided that was what she wanted. Not because she would run out of better options, not because I was safe and reliable, but because she actually liked the person I am. That is what I had been missing in my relationship with Naya, the feeling of being genuinely chosen rather than reluctantly accepted. I heard through mutual friends that Naya had the baby last month, a little girl. I hope she figures out how to be a good mom, but I do not think about it much. It is not my life anymore. My life is coming home to someone who is genuinely happy to see me. Someone who brags about my work to her friends instead of being embarrassed by it. Someone who includes me in her plans instead of making plans to escape me. Sometimes, I run into people who know about the whole situation, and they tell me I am lucky. Naya showed her true colors before we got married, but I do not think it was about luck. I think it was about finally learning to value myself enough to recognize when someone else did not. Once I stopped trying to earn love from someone who was never really offering it, I became available for love from someone who was. The right person does not need to think it over. They do not need to explore their options or make sure you are the best they can do. They just know, the same way you know, and when you find that person, everything else starts to make sense. Not because your life becomes perfect, but because you are finally building it with someone who actually wants to be there. To anyone dealing with someone who needs to find themselves or explore their options before committing to you, let them go. Do not wait around hoping they will realize your worth. Use that time to build a life so good that when the right person comes along, they will want to be part of it immediately. The right person will not need to shop around to know they want you. They will just want you. The way Sloane wanted me from the very beginning. Edit, thank you everyone for the kind words about the wedding. Sloane says Reddit helped save our relationship by encouraging me to have standards. She is not wrong. Edit 2, for anyone curious, yes, Naya had to pay back the stolen wedding fund money. Small claims court ruled in my favor. We used it for our honeymoon. Sometimes, justice is just living well.